Wesley United Methodist Church. I'm Michael Edwards. I serve as the president of the Fayette County Cultural Trust, and it's my pleasure to welcome so many of you here to the Wesley Church. This is actually the 10th anniversary of the Cultural Trust. We were formed in 2007 with a mission to improve the quality of life in the area by promoting our cultural, artistic, historic, and natural assets. If you didn't pick up, please do a pamphlet at either entrance to the church that'll tell you more about all the activities that we've been involved in. One of the initial ones that we undertook was a downtown Connellsville, a Main Street initiative to renew our downtown area. And this is the 8th annual event of It's a Connellsville Christmas that we're celebrating here today, the culminating event here with this concert. We're honored and privileged to showcase so many of our local young men and women in a setting such as this, or at the Connellsville Canteen, or at one of our many festivals. We're also grateful to the many musicians who have dedicated countless hours rehearsing for this particular event so that we can enjoy this performance. Donations tonight are being accepted for another one of our initiatives called the Achievement in the Arts, where we honor 21 students throughout the county who have excelled in the musical arts, the theatrical arts, and the visual arts. So I hope you please be generous. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Janet Parkerson. She's a special thank you to her for organizing tonight's program. So Janet.
Thank you very much, all of you, for coming. What a beautiful night it is, a great day in Connellsville, everything going on, and now this to cap the day. Well, John, we're going to build a house, my mother announced. Mary, I don't know the first thing about building a house, my father exclaimed. We'll ask questions, my mother said. It took them 10 years, paycheck to paycheck, doing almost all the work themselves, including cutting and laying the stone. But they built a beautiful house at Murphy and Vine in South Connellsville. Well, the house was built, children grown and gone, and work at Anchor Hawking was soul-numbing. Mother noticed that Dad was sleeping a lot. She was managing Carnes Bakery at the time, and one day she brought home a little replica of a fiddle that had decorated the store window. John, she said, you're bored. You've always loved the fiddle. Why don't you make yourself a fiddle? Mary, I don't know the first thing about making a fiddle, John said. You'll ask questions, she said. John Shal made 130 fiddles, 7 violas, and a cello. They're played to this day in symphony halls and back porches all across the country. He made a fiddle just for me a few months before he died at the age of 84 in 1994. I've been playing it for 4 years. I'm playing it today, and so is Dan Kelly. During the 60 years of their marriage, Mother was the woman behind the man. She even made those beautiful Western shirts that Dad liked to wear to the jamborees and fiddle contests. John Shal was a warm and friendly man who had a ready laugh and always had time for the parade of people down to his basement fiddle shop. His passion was fiddle, and he was never happier than when he was down in the basement. Warm and friendly and always ready to help anybody. There was a gentleman just a few minutes ago who asked if he might make a comment. Please come forward. He's just one of many that I've heard from over the decades. One day a man called from Denver Symphony. He wanted to know more about John Shal because he had one of his violas, and he had to know more about the man who made that instrument. And now we have this very short story.
I'm Dr. Darrell Smith, retired professor at California University, and some years ago in the 70s I had Mr. Shal come to the university several times to give lectures on violin making. Since we had several courses in woodworking, I thought it was very apropos because the violin or fiddle is the ultimate woodworking project. It takes 400 hours to make one, as John told me, and having made 130, he put in thousands of hours. Now at that time I thought, well, I will try to make a violin, but I didn't have all the tools, and one in particular is called a caliper that you use to measure the thickness of the belly and the back. That thickness is not uniform. It varies depending upon the location on the instrument. So I said to John, I said, where can I get a caliper? He said, well, you can't get one like mine. It's a great caliper. And I said, let me see it. So he got his caliper out, and I said, well, let me make some sketches of it. I'll make one. He said, well, I'll do you one better. I'm leaving to go to California. I don't do any work when I'm there. I'll loan it to you, and you could copy it. What a generous man, a great teacher. Since I was in the teaching profession, I really recognize this, that is a wonderful trait. Some people know how to do things, and they like to keep it to themselves. A true teacher wants to spread that word to everyone that he can or she can. So I took John's caliper while he was in California, and I made myself a brass one. And it's very simple. The graduations are in 64ths of an inch. Now I know today you can buy one with a dial indicator that measures in thousandths of an inch. That accuracy is not exactly needed in a violin, but that would help. But a 64th of an inch is adequate, and that's what John used. So when you press this little lever, it's spring-loaded. It opens up here. You put it over the piece of wood that's maybe the top of the instrument, and you let go of it, and it tells you how thick that area is. 3/64ths, 4/64ths, whatever it is. And you have a sketch of that shape with all those areas indicated what the thickness should be. Now, how do we come up with those thicknesses? Every violin that Antonio Stradivari made has been taken apart and measured. So we know what he used, and they weren't all the same. Everyone is still trying to find out what his secret was. Well, the secret is hard work. The kind of work that John put into his violins. 130 of them, and violas. I have made one violin, one viola, and now I'm making guitars. It takes a lot less time to make a guitar. But I want you to understand what a generous, kind man he was. He barely knew me. I just had him over for a lecture, and he was that kind of a person. To loan me a piece of equipment that is not available in this style anymore. So now I have one that I made.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. People remember also how Dad inspired them to believe they could learn to play an instrument no matter how old or how young they were, and that music was fun. Dad himself had his first violin lesson at 51. I had mine 4 years ago. I'm 76. From the start, Dad played with other fiddlers in their homes, as I do too. with Morgan, Harmon Morgan, Wendell McGinnis, Farmer Hardy. In July '72, they formed the Pennsylvania Old Time Fiddlers Association and held their first jamboree. Dad served as its president for many years. He hosted jamborees, judged fiddle contests, made fiddles, and fiddled. In the 1970s and into the 1980s, the Old Time Fiddlers played almost entirely old-time music. Now this is the music from England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Germany, born and raised there and brought over here with the immigrants centuries ago. That music carries history. It conveys ancient stories and traditions and values. It isn't the music of royal courts or concert halls. It's the music of the back porch, the cabin, the barn dance, the fiddle and the banjo, and later the guitar. It's the music that was passed on at the knee from generation to generation to generation, usually by ear. It is the music of the mountains, and so it inspires jokes about the difference between a violin and a fiddle. A violin has strings, a fiddle has strings. And that makes a big difference in price. Well, as the old-time fiddlers evolved, they also learned to enjoy gospel, country, bluegrass. You'll hear all of that here today, but also every third Sunday afternoon at Fiddler's Hall at the Fayette County Fairgrounds. Every third Sunday, except for January and February. But old time is having a huge comeback here in the States and also in Europe. It's huge in Pittsburgh right now. And it's taught right here at Atkins Music Store. Old time music as well as classical, of course. So the Young at Heart Band invite you to join us on that back porch. Bring your knitting or your whittling. Rock the baby, bring a quilt for Granny, set yourself down after a hard day's work on the farm, and tap your toes to a tune called Old Joe Clark. us this evening, unfortunately. I'm bummed, because that makes me the oldest one here. We'd like to play Westphalia Waltz in his honor. He was the one who wanted to play it with me, and now we're going to play it in honor of him. Black Diamond Bluegrass Band, over here to your left. They also play old time. They hail from southern Pennsylvania and have played bluegrass festivals all over Pennsylvania and Maryland. They are fantastic musicians and some of the nicest people we have ever met. But they are way too humble to toot their own horns. So that's all we can tell you about them. Let's give them a big welcome. Chris Blaney, Paul Berry, Nick Dean, and Nick Loud. Westphalia Waltz. won the most famous fiddle championship of them all, the national prize, the title of Grand Master Fiddle Champion. At 17, Dan had already set up his life, and the world was his oyster. He toured with countless country stars, with them at the Grand Ole Opry, the Kennedy Center, the Grammys, the Tonight Show, David Letterman, Good Morning America, and Carnegie Hall. He developed a successful career as a recording artist in Nashville, and that was for more than 35 years. He's still there. He now has a lot of fun playing with the Tennessee Mafia Jug Band. Which reminds me, you know the difference between a fiddle and an onion? No one cries if you chop up a fiddle. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Grand Master, National Fiddle Champion, Connellsville's own Dan Kelly.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Janet, thanks for having me. I'd like to thank the Historical Society for doing an exhibit on me today at the Gibson House. Karen, Sue Riddick, appreciate the work that they did. It's my honor to be back home. I have a John Shal story. I would have been maybe 14, 15, and I had won several championships. I was very blessed to win those. And we did a TV show, The Old Time Fiddlers, in Pittsburgh. And John was on that with some other kids and some other old time fiddlers. And John was asked, because I had won championships, that maybe I was a prodigy. So he went to John, and John was very truthful. And he said, no, Dan's not a prodigy. He just works harder than everybody else. And that was the truth. So anyway, we're going to do a tune. I appreciate all these guys helping me up here today, backing me up. We're going to do a good old standard tune. This tune won me a lot of competitions. It's called Sally Good. appreciate that. Janet asked me if I would play an old-time fiddle tune, and in Tennessee, this old-time fiddle tune is very popular, I believe, probably in North Carolina too. It's something that I did a lot when I was a little boy here, called, I'm sure everybody else has too, called squirrel humming. So here we go. Thank you very much, I appreciate that. These next two songs we're going to dedicate to John Shal. These were two of his favorite songs that he enjoyed playing, and I played them many a times when I was a kid with him. First one's going to be Devil's Dream, and then we're going to do a little bit of Ragtime Anthem. up with this fine tune called Ragtime Amy.
My goodness, think I'll play like that in a year or two? You know, I was just mesmerized by the whole thing because this band over here has not had an opportunity to rehearse with Dan. He just got into town. I heard some powerful bass playing by Vic King. I heard a really tasteful banjo. Banjo can be mean. This is tasteful banjo and some great guitar playing. You guys are fantastic. Well, now that would be a hard act to follow, so we're going to switch the scene entirely to gospel and country. The Young at Heart Band picked a tune that represents both. The time-honored song, Will the Circle Be Unbroken? But first, let me introduce the Young at Heart Band, beginning with the young'uns. Hannah Bruner, raise your hand. Hannah, a student of Eric Harvey and daughter of Vanessa and Mike Bruner. Then we have Nicolette Cloutier, daughter of Jennifer and Thomas Cloutier. Barsick, a professional woman inspired by John Shal, now enjoying a fiddle revival. John Mancini, a longtime member of the Old Time Fiddlers Association. Tom Workman, a member of the Old Time Fiddlers Band. Our singers, Aline Mancini and Perry Russell. Eric Harvey and Joe Faithley. And these two gentlemen kindly agreed to stand in with me for Harmon Morgan to help me head up the Young at Heart Band. So here we go. Sing along with the chorus, if you will, please. Will the circle be unbroken? I remember a lot of the old-time fiddlers from back in my daddy's day, and I even remember Dan Kelly because my daddy talked about him so much, and I knew him when he was a kid. But we, Bill and I, don't live here anymore. We live in the mountains of North Carolina, and I'm as old as dirt, so I didn't know any of these. He's older, he says. I didn't know any of these musicians. So how was I going to put this together? Well, the old-time fiddlers gave me Rich Hardy. Put your hand up there, Rich. Rich worked tirelessly with me for the past 3 months. We exchanged 900 emails. We learned that Rich's uncle, farmer Jim Hardy, and my father, John Shal, played together at the Old Time Fiddlers Jams back in the 70s and 80s. So Rich and I are family. Musicians have a way of connecting with the rest of the community. It's like that with the whole house band. These gentlemen have played on and off together for years. Rich's uncle married Mark's aunt, so they're family. But once you get to know this band, you realize they're all family, bonded by friendship and inspired by faith. You'll hear that in their music, and you'll hear it every third Sunday again at the fairgrounds, Sunday afternoons. So that's Rich Hardy. Put your hand up there, Rich. Mark Hamilton, Tom Workman, Tom Lowe, Harry Russell, and Joe Fagley. The Old Time Fiddlers House Band.
Well, John the Revelator saw Jerusalem coming down. John the Revelator, and when he looked around, he saw feet like brass, eyes like fire, heard their voice say, "Come up higher." John the Revelator wrote about the city of God. Up on the Isle of Patmos, where the man was cast for dead, he was led to only die. He began to pray. The Holy Ghost fell on him, the Spirit came down. Said, "I am the first and last," and the letter wrote it down. Talk about John the Revelator, saw Jerusalem coming down. John the Revelator, and when he looked around, he saw feet like brass, eyes like fire, heard a voice say, "Come up higher." John the Revelator wrote about the city of God. While in the Spirit prayer, John turned around to see if the voice he had heard was what it seemed to be. Just like many water, red from inside, said, "I am the first and last," and the letter wrote it down. Talk about John the Revelator, saw Jerusalem coming down. John the Revelator, and when he looked around, he saw feet like brass, eyes like fire, heard a voice say, "Come up higher." John the Revelator wrote Well, I'm not on an ego trip. I'm nothing on my own. I've made mistakes, sometimes slip, just common flesh and bone. But I'll prove to you just what I said. I am a special kind. For when he was on the cross, I was on his mind. Yeah, he knew me. Yeah, he loved me. He's a glory makes the heavens shine. So unworthy of such mercy. When he was on the cross, I was on his mind. Well, the look of love was on his face, the thorns were on his head. The blood was on that scarlet robe, stained it crimson red. Though his eyes were on the crowd that day, he looked ahead. Oh, when he was on the cross, I was on his mind. Yeah, he knew me. Yeah, he loved me. His glory makes the heavens shine. So unworthy of such mercy. When he was on the cross, I was on his mind. Yes, when he was on the cross, I was on his mind.
As a special,
Wait, Mike.
thank you. As a special favor to me, I asked Rich Hardy and Dan Kelly to learn an inspirational and beautiful song to share with us tonight. The Touch of the Master's Hand. Listen carefully to the lyrics and imagine yourself at this auction.
Well, it was battered and scarred, and the auction he felt was hardly worth his while to waste much time on the old man. But he held it up with a smile. He said, "It sure ain't much, but it's all we got now. I guess we ought to sell it too." who's gonna bid on this old valley? Just one more and we'll be through. And then he cried, one, give me $1. Who'll make it two? Only $2. Who'll make it three? $3 twice, you know that's the price. Now who's gonna bid for me? Raise up your hand now, don't wait any longer. The auction's about to run. Who's got four, just $1 more to bid on this old violin? Well, the air was hot and the people stood around. The sun was setting low. From the back of the crowd, a gray-haired man came forward and picked up the bowl. He wiped the dust from the old violin and he tightened up the string. And he played out a melody pure and sweet, sweeter than the angels sing. Well, then the music stopped and the auctioneer, with a voice that was quiet and low, he said, now what am I bid for this old violin? And he held it up with the bow. And then he cried, one, give me 1,000. Who'll make it two? Only 2,000. Who'll make it three? 3,000 twice, you know that's a good price. Now who's gonna bid for me? And the people cried out, what made the change? We don't understand. Then the auctioneer stopped and he said with a smile, it was the touch of the master's hand. You know there's many a man with his life out of tune, battered and scarred with sin, and he's auctioned cheap to a thankless world, much like that old violin. But then the master comes and the old foolish crowd, they never understand that the worth of a soul in a chains by one touch of the master's hand. And he cried, one, give me 1,000. Who'll make it two? Only 2,000. Who'll make it three? 3,000 twice, you know that's a good price. Now who's gonna bid for me? And the people cried out, what made the change? We don't understand. Then the auctioneer stopped and he said with a smile, it was the touch of the master's hand.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. That's just powerful singing. We could stand to hear a lot more of that, but we have to move on to bluegrass. The Young at Heart Band now gather again for I'll Fly Away, one of the most popular bluegrass tunes ever written. Join us on the chorus if you like. Wave your arms, reach to the sky, fly away. Oh, by the way, the real difference between a violin and a fiddle? No one minds if you spill beer on a fiddle. In fact, if you turn one of them things over, sometimes moonshine spills out.
Some bright morning when this life is over, I'll fly away to that home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. When the shadows of this life are gone, I'll fly away. Like a bird from these prison walls of fire, I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away.
Okay, we have some more serious talent here. Joe Fadley hails from Myersdale, Pennsylvania, and won the Pennsylvania State and Regional Fiddle Championship as well as the Mid-America Championship. He has performed with Nashville Stars, Williams and Al Jones. He was also a staff fiddle player on the Jubilee TV show with the Bluegrass Gents. Locally, he has performed with Charlie McVeigh and Friends and many, many others, including the Old Time Fiddlers and the Dunbar Boys. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I give you Pennsylvania State and Regional and Mid-America Fiddle Champion, Joe Fadley.
The first tune I'd like to play for you tonight is called Nervous Breakdown. I'm nervous already. Until the last 1 or 2 years, they're allowing it now. It's called Back Up and Shove It. I mean, Back Up and Push. Excuse me.
notice Joe's bow? Because that's how you can tell if a fiddle is out of tune. The bow is moving. Well, for the next tune, Black Diamond Bluegrass Band was willing to back up both Joe Fadley and Dan Kelly, which speaks volumes for Black Diamond Bluegrass Band. Joe fondly remembers Dan Kelly from when Dan was that amazing little fiddle kid. Joe, yeah, good. Joe hasn't seen Dan in more than 30 years because Dan's been working in Nashville. Well, I mean, Dan just came into town here yesterday, right? When I realized this special opportunity of two amazing fiddle champions on the same program, I could not resist asking them to face off and duel, knowing full well they would have no opportunity for rehearsal. I have no shame.
This is all your fault.
I am evil. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Dan Kelly and Joe Fadley in what is affectionately called the Bluegrass National Anthem, Orange Blossom Special.
As you get it.
this evening, in case you haven't noticed, has been treasuring the gift and passing it on. The gift of music and the warm fellowship and community that comes with it. So we want to acknowledge and thank music teachers like Eric Harvey and others at Atkins Music Center in Connellsville. Atkins owner, Denise Friel, for everything she does in support of live music. These people live and breathe music and pass it on. We thank all of you, especially parents who promote, encourage, and support local musicians and help to pass it on. And now we acknowledge the source of all music and of all musical talent, and we give honor and tribute to the greatest gift of all, Christmas. now. We don't see too many of those around anymore, and it's lovely. Now seriously, the true difference between a fiddle and a violin is the music that's played on it, and the way that music is played. John Shal gave the world both the violin and the fiddle. And now you'll hear violin. teaches fiddle and violin, is a long-time, old-time Fiddle Association member. I think he's been playing violin since he was 4. And he also plays, when he can, with Perry Russell's Bluegrass Band. He's a busy man. The Dunbar Boys, he plays with them too. Let's welcome one of Eric's students, Hannah Bruner, 14 years old, daughter of Vanessa and Mike Bruner. Hannah Bruner. More than musical talent, that takes courage. And Eric is passing it on. The Old Time Fiddlers have planted a musical seed in many a child. Nicolette Cloutier, 14, daughter of Jennifer and Thomas Cloutier, plays violin with the South Hills Junior Orchestra and also plays fiddle with the Old Time Fiddlers. She often opens their jams with a solo performance of the Star-Spangled Banner. This evening, she'll give us Jesu Bambino. who nurture their children's musical gifts and watch the seeds they plant grow. Erin and Matt, Maruka's daughters, are Talbot and Maddox. Talbot is 16, Maddox is 14, and they are already local sensations. They will now perform From the Nutcracker, Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy, and Dance of the Reed Flutes. Good news, bad news. Opera singer Chelsea Rittenauer was prepared to be here this evening to sing with her two friends, but then she got invited for a special opportunity to audition in New York City. so she's not able to be here, but adding yet another level of brilliance to our already amazing lineup, we have two local opera singers, classically trained in Italy. Echo Schaffer Schaefer and Riley Artis. Connellsville, Pennsylvania. Oh my, it's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. Anyone dreaming of a white Christmas?
Dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten as children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. Dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white.
Rich Hardy singing. I fell in love with Rich when I heard his voice. It wasn't the emails.
Says who?
We have one more very special presentation and one more word about my father. For 20 years, my dad, John Shal, sent letters to my husband and me in San Diego, often with tapes of the old-time fiddlers playing together. I still have all those tapes and all those letters. In fact, I have a tape of old-time fiddlers playing with my dad at the family home in South Connellsville for our wedding reception in 1969, 3 years before there was an Old-Time Fiddlers Association. I think next June I'm going to try to share the contents of those tapes with you at another concert that Rich Hardy is already planning. And every year played Silent Night on his fiddle, taped it, and mailed it to us with a letter. I still treasure those tapes. This year, we're playing Silent Night for you, Dad, on 3 of your fiddles.
Maybe. Good evening. I'm Eric Harvey, and Janet asked me if I would share the story of this fiddle. This is actually a 5-string fiddle, or a bluegrass fiddle, as they're sometimes called. It has an extra string on it, a low C below the G string, so you can actually play viola music on it. It's kind of a neat thing to have. But this was actually assembled from a kit by Shal in 1983 from my great uncle, James, or many people knew him, Jimmy Linderman, also from South Connellsville, and a good friend of Mr. Shal's. And he didn't want to retool all of his equipment to do a 5-string, so he got this kit and put it together for him out of that, and of course made his own improvements to it. And it's certainly a privilege for me to get to play this on this song tonight for him. And I had the privilege of meeting Mr. Shal a couple of times when I was very young and needed some repairs done to fiddles and bows, and what a wonderful, wonderful person he was, and it's truly a privilege for me to get to share this stage with all these people and get to play this for him tonight. So thank you for that opportunity.
That sounds like something my dad would do. He also made a fiddle for me the year he died. I said, Dad, I want it given to me with warm hands, and I don't want the one you're already playing. I want you to make one just for me. And he did. And now I've asked Dan Kelly to play it. I wish to thank the Fayette County Cultural Trust, especially Daniel Cox and Michael Edwards, for sponsoring this program and for all the amazing things they're doing for Connellsville. Pat Stefano for his contributing sponsorship, Wesley Church for hosting us, and Marilyn Weaver for continuously connecting us with the church. Marge Eifert for coordinating between us and the church. All the musicians for generously volunteering their time and talent. All volunteers tonight. The Young at Heart Band, Hannah Bruner, raise your hand. Sandra, Nicolette Cloutier, Sarah Barson, Aline Mancini, John Mancini, Harry Russell, Tom Workman, Eric Harvey, Joe Bailey, Harmon Morgan, who was disappointed he couldn't play with us tonight. We honor you too, Harmon Morgan. Again, I'm Janet Parkerson, proud of my father, John Shal, and of the woman behind him. The Old Time Fiddlers House Band, Joe Bailey, Harry Russell, Tom Lowe, Tom Workman, Mark Hamilton, with special thanks to Rich Hardy. The Black Diamond Band, Chris Blaney, Paul Ferry, Tom Lowe, and help me out, Vic King, and their fearless leader, Nick Blau. Talbot Maruka, where are you? Maddox Maruka, with congratulations to their parents. Echo Schaefer and Riley Artis, with best wishes to Chelsea Rittenauer. Joe Fadley, State, Regional, and Mid-America Fiddle Champion. Dan Kelly, Grand Master National Fiddle Champion. And not least of all, Ed Gould for providing this amazing professional sound system. Thank you all for coming to celebrate Christmas, the Old Time Fiddlers, and especially my father, John Shal. We have a meet and greet with all of us with Christmas cookies and punch just outside, a few feet away. Please join us in the dining room. But first, with us one last time, please sing Silent Night.